Welcome to Bill and Rob's An Excellent Adventure. I'm Bill Tilley.
I am Rob Schulte. You are Bill Tilley. I'm aped up and amped up. I gotta say, I found something at an antique mall that feels more like a thrift shop out here in the desert that is in no way related to Planet of the Apes, but I feel like fits in the universe of the Bill and Rob's Excellent Adventure world.
Really?
And tell me if you know of this character. Does the name Shotgun Red remind you of anything?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Shotgun Red.
Now, did you know that Shotgun Red has a cookbook?
Oh.
Cooking with Shotgun Red?
Oh, please tell me it involves actual shotguns and gunpowder.
Oh, wouldn't it be great? Let me just read a little bit of the back of this real quick. Advice from Shotgun Red. As you leaf through this delightful book, you will discover the pleasure of country cooking. 500 delicious low-cal, easy-to-fix recipes. I love a puppet that touts low-cal recipes.
Mm-hmm.
Truly a collector's item. If you enjoy country cooking, this book is a must. Loaded with advice from the master of the culinary arts, Shotgun Red. Who's 3 tall with boots on? Who's a frequent co-host on Nashville Now with Ralph Emery? Is seen weekly by millions of country television viewers? Has his own band and tour bus. He's Shotgun Red, the most lovable country character to come along in decades, and his creator, alter ego, comic master, and musical talent, Steve Hall.
I can't believe that you just showed me that, because I watched a ton of Shotgun Red on TNN back in the day, and I had completely Control-Alt-deleted the memory of this puppet until this moment. I think that is amazing. Rob, you make me so jealous with your antiquing safaris. You really...
This truly is an antique.
One of the perks of being friends with Rob is a text with an image of just something that he's found. No, he won't write any words with it. It'll just be a picture of what he found, like that book, and makes me so happy. And I think you just found the basis for our next podcast, because you've got your Shotgun Red cookbook, and for my Christmas present, I got a Cooking with Columbo cookbook.
Wow, and I've got the Frasier cookbook as well.
So, I think we've got some TV dinners. That's what we could call it.
Oh, wow. That would be great.
That's our podcast, TV Dinners. If you all like it, let's see a show of support out there for TV Dinners with Bill and Rob's.
I love that idea. I think that could be a series for maybe some video episodes of the Patreon.
Maybe.
Where we showcase our delicious dish.
We could do that. I guarantee you that it'll be comical when I showcase my lack of cooking ability.
And people love it when you eat on mic.
Yeah, they do. I think the sight of me setting myself on fire making a liquid dish, because I know that would happen, would surely be worth some contributions.
Yes, it'll be like that 90s album with the guy on fire.
I was thinking more like every 80s stuntman who ever got caught in a car explosion. That's me.
Yes. I don't know what album I'm talking about, but I tell you this, I was not talking about Bruce Springsteen's I'm on Fire.
No.
I was not. And I was not talking about the self-titled Rage Against the Machine album. It's the one with the guys like walking. Anyway, Bill, I could get hung up on that all night, but I'm ready to hang from some vines, which is surprisingly few of in today's episode.
I would venture to say probably none. I don't recall seeing anything, but I'm ready to get into this too, Rob. So much so that I'm actually a little sad about this episode, because I think I have more to say than we will have time allotted, but I guess that's a good problem to have.
It really is. I talk about it all the time in the, look, we're professionals. Everybody knows it, but there are other professional worlds that I have dipped my toe into. And sometimes I just got to tell those people, like, I know we're recapping this and there's a lot of stuff, but just because we don't get to it today doesn't mean it can't be brought up in a future episode. So
this is true.
Everything can be revisited because we make the rules, baby.
That's right. We can be kind. We can rewind if we need to someday.
Absolutely. Well, today, Bill, we are talking about Planet of the Apes 1968. Actually, I was going to say this ain't your daddy's Planet of the Apes, but it kind of is your daddy's Planet of the Apes.
It would be if my father gave a crap at all about science fiction, but
Same.
It was definitely would have been his if he decided to go see this movie. Yeah.
This is one of those movies my dad would kind of be like, wait till you see the end. And I mean, I've said this before on other shows, like, I don't know how many movies my dad has actually seen, but I think my dad liked a story more than anything. So when you get the twist that everyone knows, which we won't talk about until we get there on this episode, just in case.
Right.
I think he was just delighted to know that, like, wow, ooh, they did it, you know.
I think our dads probably would have got along that way because mine was the same. He didn't so much care about it specifically, but if it was interesting, he would sit down and watch it. Otherwise, he's like, I know where that's going.
Yeah. And, who doesn't like a good Chuck Heston movie? They're all great. Bowling for Columbine, it's fantastic.
The end of Wayne's World.
Yeah, that's part 2, Wayne's World 2.
Wayne's World 2, which pretty much is the whole movie, the best part.
Gordon Street.
Once knew a girl on Gordon Street.
Should I read the back of the box for this movie?
I absolutely think you should.
Now, there's a little bit of a back of the box controversy on this one, Bill. So,
oh no.
Most of the VHS backs of the boxes that I found all phrased this as the saga begins, as if everyone knows there's a bunch of Planet of the Apes movies, but there weren't VHS. I mean, there were, but they weren't. It's 1968. When did this end up being transferred to something that you could watch at home? Like all the movies had pretty much been out, or they knew they were coming out. So the phrasing of the back of the box, I didn't find it to be as fun, really. It was more about who's in it, and like it set the tone for the rest of the Planet of the Apes series. And then like I tried looking up some laser discs backs of the box or backs of the panels and
backs of the album.
Yeah, those were like 3 to 5 paragraphs just telling you the plot synopsis of the movie.
They had a lot of real estate to fill up on those things.
Yeah, they did. It was like, checkers, and it would be a photo of Dr. Zaius and then Charlton Heston, and then, fill those other blank negative spaces with that. So I found a blurb that I think does justice, and that's what I'm going to read. Okay.
Outstanding.
A U.S. spaceship lands on a desolate planet, stranding astronaut Taylor in a world dominated by apes 2,000 years into the future, who use a primitive race of humans for experimentation and sport. Soon, Taylor finds himself among the hunted, his life in the hands of a benevolent chimpanzee scientist. Wow. That gives us what we need, I think, for today's episode.
It does, and I'm going to award you the restraint medal of this for not doing it in Charlton Heston voice. A benevolent chimpanzee scientist.
Taylor finds himself among the hunted, his life in the hands of a benevolent chimpanzee scientist. See, take the reward away.
Yeah, nope. I'm going to admit it, everybody. This is the perk of being in charge of the show. I get stuff like this for free just by asking for it. Now it's yours too.
So, Bill, let's do some general movie talk.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you like to begin?
Well, I'd like to begin with, let's let everybody know, Rob, had you seen this movie before you watched it for the show?
I bought the Planet of the Apes box set when they came out on DVD when I was working at a Sam Goody Suncoast, which has been mentioned on this podcast before. I worked there right at the turn of VHS to DVD. So anytime a box set was coming out, I knew about it and I got it. And I really wish I kept a lot of those box sets because they're different now. Like some of the box sets you got back then are not, the Walmart Super Saver collection you get now. And
right.
I never made it through all of the series, but I used to have this ritual at my house before I knew that you could ask friends to go do things on the weekends where I would get a new DVD or whatever after work, and then I would order myself some pizza or whatever and just watch a different movie every evening in my basement at my dad's house. And I had seen this. I probably haven't seen it since, I'm guessing this was around 2002, maybe. So it's been a little while.
Okay. Yeah, I had seen this as well also. I know I had seen it once on something somewhere back in the day. And I know that they ran the sequels on your various side cable channels, superstations and such every once in a while. So I'd caught most of them throughout. On a couple of years ago, I bought the whole series on DVD again. But actually, the fun part is it's probably been whatever the last anniversary was, Fathom Events, where they do the re-release to the movie theater for one day. I got to see this movie on the big screen at my local theater.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that really was fun. And it really kind of put into perspective this one. It's iconic and legendary. Even if you've never seen it, you just know. It's like, it's one of those movies. So it was great to see this thing on the big screen. It was great to watch it again. I had a good time. There are some moments that were kind of weird, but it was a good time.
Well, 1968, brother. I, too, really enjoyed this rewatch. And I think that it's fun because, as we've talked about before in other movies, with more life experience comes more rewatch experience. And, you know, watching this in 2002, when I'm whatever age that was, 22 years ago, I now have so much more of the world at my disposal to reflect on when watching this film. And who some of these people are and evolved to be. I don't want to say it's interesting because it wasn't that interesting, but it was fun because I think also coming off of the tales of the 3 previous movies we've watched, it really shows you what this movie is and what those movies are. And I think more of that will come out as we go through our notes today. But one last general thing I'd like to bring up, and I think I've brought this up in the past, but the texture of the movie. It's great. I love movies that look real. And of course, the makeup and costumes of this movie are a little bit silly, but they're also pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, sure, we don't have robotic Henson-esque Ninja Turtle lips that move perfectly for these apes, but they look like good apes, and it doesn't really look like someone's just wearing a helmet with fur glued to it, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Everything feels tactile and you can touch it. It isn't CGI blurry. And as beautiful as some of the shots look in the previous ones, like, it doesn't look real. It doesn't look real at all. And this looks real and looks like it could actually happen. And I think that stops at about 2001 with movies. And I don't mean The Space Odyssey.
No.
Like, yeah. And I love it. I love going back and watching old films for many reasons, but that is a strong one for me. How about you?
Yeah, I had a great experience with this. It's one of those things where I've kind of realized through doing this show of your first watch of a movie is really an immersive experience. I know, at least for me, I've realized that when I watch a movie the first time, I'm not really looking for details or whatever, because I'm just taking it all in. I take it all in as one big lump sum. And if I feel something excited or something got to me, that leads to a rewatch because I liked it and I'll take the opportunity to watch again. And that affords me time to look at stuff and see, oh, okay, that's different. That's a thing. Mm-hmm. These are interesting. And I'm with you. And the movie's beautiful. You know, it's shot, of course, in the way that movies were shot back then that can't be recaptured in a certain way, especially on digital. But also, I couldn't help but think about the 3 movies we've watched up to this point, too. And it reminded me how this movie made me feel a lot like Star Wars. Like, why did they start with the quote-unquote 4th one? It's because the first 3 really weren't that interesting if you really get down to it. It could be, but when you get to the crux of what this movie's about, then that's Planet of the Apes. And of course, they didn't know they were ever going to do any of this other stuff or do anything before this movie's set time. But it was really great to just look at this thing and go, man, this is a movie. This is just a really big, great movie with some great actors and some great stuff in it. And I agree totally. We're not fans of CGI. That's a perfectly useful tool, and it can do some amazing things. But
hell, the Avatar: The Way of Water was wonderful. Right?
I will take your word for it. I've seen none of those movies, so I guess that'll be a series of water in the future. We'll do that and Waterworld and all other kinds of stuff. It'll be great.
Splash.
But yeah, this movie, this is a great movie for people. Like, if you haven't seen like a 60s movie or an icon movie, this is a great one to start with because it's got a lot going for it. Granted, through modern eyes, and like you said, older eyes, depending on where you come at, there's a lot of stuff now that jumps out at me as an adult that I didn't pick up on as a kid, or as an, I guess, what you would call an uneducated or a movie watcher who hasn't watched it a bunch of times, which
less life experience than you have now.
Yeah, something like that. But it's still an amazing piece of cinema, and there's a lot to like about it. And there's some stuff, of course, that doesn't age too well or just kind of misses the mark. But overall, it earned its legendary status.
Well, Bill, should we get into our first segment, evolutionary studies?
I think we should. Let's swing on over and see what's in there.
So let's discuss some of the fun stuff, interesting stuff, shocking stuff, the trivia, something, just little tidbits here and there, right? I'll go first, and then you can go, and then we'll repeat.
Monkey see, monkey do. Is that what you're telling me, Rob? Podcaster see, podcaster do?
Yeah. Pod no evil, hear all evil of us because we're evil. Anyway, allegedly, Bill, Jerry Goldsmith wore a gorilla mask while writing and conducting the score of this film to, quote, better get in touch with the movie.
Oh.
If that's not a 1960s psych fest, I don't know what is.
I want to believe that, but all I can think of is the legend that Susanna Hoffs wrote Eternal Flame in her room naked in front of a candle, like that kind of level of like getting into the part. But boy, I don't know, man, that would be a sweaty mess. I'm not sure that that's how Jerry would really want to do that, but I'm going to say it's true. And
it's the 60s, baby.
Yeah, man. I mean, lots of stuff going on back then. It's, free love and apparently plastic masks while you're conducting symphony orchestras and writing scores.
He's feeling the ape. He is feeling it. What about you? What's one you brought to the table?
Well, it plays off of what you just said. And I want to say right now, Rob, there's so many interesting facts about this movie. Yeah. This movie amongst all was just a sheer hell for me to get down to just what we've agreed on for time.
We might do a roundup episode at the end of this.
We might. We very well might. But one thing that really struck me was all the ape actors in this movie had a ton of fun with their makeup when they had it on. As much as they knew it was uncomfortable, there are constant stories. I watched the Behind the Planet of the Apes documentary and a bunch of stuff. The gorillas in the movie, a bunch of them would come to set. They would go send them out in a van to pick them up and bring them to the set. They were constantly making the driver get out and hide so that they could drive down the freeway as just nobody knows what's going on just because they're filming this movie. Never seen it. Roddy McDowall was guilty of this. He would just take off in his full Cornelius bit, drive down the freeway on his way home, leave it on, and just freak everybody out. He showed up on the Carol Burnett show in costume just to freak her out. Like, that's how good this makeup was, and people were losing it. They were like, there's apes on the freeway, they've learned to drive. And it's like, yeah, you watch this movie and you'll hope they don't learn anything else. But
because also people were really dumb back then.
Yeah, there's that too. But I have to believe that, were I in this same situation, you'd have to take advantage of this opportunity to have some fun with this stuff. So I loved hearing that. That just makes me think, like anything else, if it's a happy set, odds are it was a happy movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one I got is apparently in those costumes, it was tough to shoot the film in the Arizona heat, but not just because of the heavy, leathery, ape-filled hairy costumes, but also for Charlton Heston, who spent half the film, or most of the film, half naked and being brutalized by the elements like the sun and the simians. I guess in Charlton Heston's autobiography, there's the sentence, "Even rubber rocks hurt."
Oh, he takes such a beating in this movie. It is brutal. I know that there was a point I saw where he said they actually made him a pair of rubber boots that looked like feet so that when he ran, he kind of had shoes on just because. And it got me to thinking, like, there's so many parts in this movie where I'm watching him and I'm going, what is it about him? And it's like, he runs a lot in this movie, a lot. And he runs like a strange Harrison Ford old man run. It's real. It's not action hero. It's not even graceful. It's this real kind of almost slow motion run that's supposed to be fast.
You know what it is, Bill? It's realistic.
It is realistic, but at times it looks like they told him, they're like, you're running too fast. Look fast, but run slow. Yeah. So it's almost like he's in slow motion.
Or he's like avoiding sharp fucking rocks.
Or sharp fucking rocks. Or kind of that like constipated, but I need to get to the bathroom, but I can't pull out.
How much more do we have to shoot before break?
Yeah, no kidding. So kind of in the same vein as that for a location thing. And this movie has amazing locations. They shot in Arizona and Utah and California. The old 20th Century Fox Ranch is where they did a lot of this part. And there's a scene in the movie where the astronauts stumble upon the tribe of humans they first see, and they're in this big cornfield. And it turns into this big hunt where this is where the apes show up and they're thrashing around and they're like a duck hunt. They're hunting the humans in the same way. So this cornfield did not exist before the movie. They found the area, and the director, Franklin Schaefer, said, we need them to do something here. And they decided, well, they can grow corn here. It was great for corn, but they only had 10 weeks before filming, and there's no corn. So this entire field, this lush cornfield, looks like it's been there forever. They grew it just for this scene, just for this movie. They watered it nonstop. They put special fertilizer on it. And I guess 3 days before shooting, the assistant director comes up and he's like, well, the corn's 8 feet high. And Franklin jokingly said, well, mow it at 6 feet. I asked for 6 feet. And I'm thinking, that is such a Hollywood thing.
Oh, yeah. Just make sure it gets done.
Yeah. To be bitching that you got more corn out of your cornfield than you could ever want. But it's just one of those things where you think, oh, they found this cornfield. And like the thought that they grew this field ever in the times I've watched it's never occurred to me. So,
or even like importing already grown corn stalks and just planting 6-foot ones.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's old school movie magic right there. They would have CGI'd the shit out of this today, but nope. It's a real field with them just knocking crap around in it. So,
and I love a good cornfield that has like mangoes right next to it.
Yeah. Well, as long as there's not any kids like Bill Mummy wishing me into that cornfield, I'm okay. But or apes thrashing around in there trying to put me in a very ineffective net. The hunt goes a little, it's a little weird. It's an odd scene, but it's iconic.
The hunt is ape. Bill, should we jump to our next segment?
I think we should. Let us go and monkey around with some likes and amusing moments.
We call this segment Oohs and Ahs, as in ooh, ah. I got to start on the last one. You could have started on this one.
I would be happy to. And God, there's so many. I have 2 pages of notes. Once again, just crying that I can't bring up all these points. And that should tell you, go watch this movie.
And also, hey, you want more content? You want the notes that weren't said, everyone? Let us know. You're already a patron. And if you're not a patron, we've busted this out from behind the Patreon paywall. Like, hey, there could be even more content that you could get because Bill and I will do that for you because you all are supporting this show. So, Bill, don't throw away those notes.
No, never do.
Laminate them.
Yeah. Put them in a rocket and send them off at light speed towards...
Yeah. See them in 2,000 years.
Absolutely. That's just an odd thing. So after the astronauts have crash landed on unknown planet, they have to make a desert crossing. And there's a large chunk of the beginning of the movie is just the astronauts getting out of the desert and trying to find shelter and water. And it's weirdly filmed, in my opinion, in a little ways, because there's not a real passage of time. They kind of say it's supposed to be, they've got like 3 days worth of stuff, but you can't really tell. It's one knock against the movie. But as they trundle along in the desert, there is nothing around. There's just no point. And the music's playing hard, and it's kind of driving. And
he's got his monkey mask on while the music is going.
And this scene's going on and on and on. And I'm like, this movie's already starting to drag. And out of nowhere, there is a giant boulder that comes rolling Indiana Jones style down a sand dune that they have to run away from and avoid. And it comes to a stop. And I'm just going, where the hell did this boulder come from? And you look around, and it's like the two trees in Robo War. There is nothing on the other side of these buzzers. They must have just decided, like, we need something to go on here. So light up a cigar and push that boulder at Heston. And it is just like, you guys didn't have to go near that boulder. You could have easily avoided it. But
they also didn't need to run away from it if they would have just taken 2 steps back.
Yeah, everything would have been great. But I guess, that one's going to make the When Boulders Attack reel. So maybe laugh.
Yeah. A definite moment of action needed there. Maybe bring it around the table once more on what that moment of action is. One thing that I found very amusing in this was the cigar smoking in the spaceship at the beginning of the movie. Does man still hurt his neighbor? Like, I guess I'll see you in 200 years or whatever before he goes to sleep. And it's like, gotta get that last cigar puff before you go into cryo sleep.
Yeah. Did Winston sponsor this mission? Is that?
I don't know. I was waiting for Lee Marvin to show up and tell us that it's healthy.
Oh man. He and Heston is really enjoying that cigar. And of course, 60 spacecraft, they have gravity and they can't tell, but I noticed that the walls of the spacecraft are sound dampening foam, and he puts that cigar
up right against it.
Boy, amongst the things that NASA isn't getting, amongst the things that ANSA is not getting right, because it ain't NASA. You check that patch at the door, everybody. Among crew psychological evaluations, I think, is you really don't want those flammables going up like that. But hey man, cigars, got to have them.
Feels like maybe he put that cigar out on the astronaut that didn't make it cryo chamber. Maybe that's what it is. Spark got loose. What else do you got for an ooh or an ah?
So this movie's, of course, it's an allegory for nuclear war and people's racism and things. A lot of these themes are in this movie. It's great. But there is a line that should hit terribly. And it just made me laugh. About 3/4 of the way through the movie, Taylor and his new mate, Nova, are making their escape from Ape City thanks to Zira and Cornelius. And they're out and they've gotten out, they're heading off, and Zira's giving him a dirty, filthy rag to wear as a kind of a bit of a undercover thing, something to cloak him with. And he's like, this is terrible. This looks bad. Won't they notice? And Zira makes the comment, all men look alike to most apes. And I thought to myself, really? Yeah. Really? All men look alike. And in the first scene of the movie, when you see the tribe, everyone there is about 5'4", men and women, and they are all wearing the Geico caveman hair, which is jet black. And I'm like, really? You're not going to notice the only 6'2" blonde primate that you've been running around the planet Zero?
Without big bushy eyebrows. And
yeah. With the one that talks, it's like, nobody's going to. It was a funny moment. I get what they were going for. And I guess it's good because that ridiculousness landed just as ridiculous as if you say it today about a minority, which is just ridiculous. And I guess it worked. It pointed it out. But
it pointed out how silly a phrase like that is. But in this, we're also watching a movie called Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, it does what science fiction does so well. It teaches you without preaching.
Yeah, and maybe more on this towards the end of today's episode, but that's why this movie, I think, works better than the previous movies we've watched on this series. Mm-hmm. It knows what it's doing. It's a movie called Planet of the Apes, Anyway, we'll get there. Mm-hmm. Bill, one thing I genuinely liked in this film was when, George Taylor is escaping and he's like trying to be stealthy around this very open area. And he's like sneaking behind an ape funeral. And as silly as it is that he's like trying to be stealthy in a very public area, like just maybe take the long road, man. It made for a really great, like, oh, they do put in these pockets of how this ape culture works. Like, this is what happens at a funeral. These are the kind of speeches that are given. We get the trial scene later where we kind of understand how their legal system works or how their belief system works, and I don't know, those little snippets of this society was really fun to me, especially just that funeral scene in general.
Yeah, I agree. It really made the thing real. It's what real people go through, the mundane, the everyday.
Yeah.
Zira and Cornelius are going to work. The zoo people are weird, but they're going to work. There's people going to the science exhibits. They're going to class. They're going to the market. They're just living their lives like everybody else would. So it really sells it like, okay, this isn't just a bunch of crazy one note people. I mean, it's one of the things we joke about Klingons in Star Trek. Like, they can't all be warriors. Somebody's got to be a tax accountant and somebody's got to be maintenance.
Or like the Predators,
Yeah, the Predators too. Like, so which one of them are out there making sure that the buses run on time and who's doing the mail, stuff like that. So yeah, it was great to see them just living their lives. And then, of course, like you said, Taylor doing his best Frank Drebin School of Nothing to See Here as he charges through the set, like trying not to draw attention to himself by being the most obvious thing in the world. It was amazing.
It's great. Well, Bill, who's your champ chimp?
So I thought long and hard about this because there are a lot of great people, actors, doing a lot of great things on screen, but my champ chimp is going behind the scenes. It's going to the head of the makeup department, Mr. John Chambers, the man responsible for the ape makeup, because without his incredible work, which is what this is, like Rob said, you look at it and you believe it is what it is. It doesn't have to be an actual talking ape looking exactly like a real ape coming. We're given this representation of an ape society and told this is what it is. And you don't see the lines really. You don't see the seams. It's flawless. They did these as appliances so that they could emote. It is, for 1968, groundbreaking, unbelievable work that they did. And they put a ton of work into keeping it looking great on screen because they wanted it to be great. The studio wanted it to be believable. They didn't want you to look and laugh at the apes. They wanted you to watch the movie and feel. And without John Chambers' makeup, none of this works. Absolutely none of it works. Even if the story stays exactly the same, it could have easily been like, William Shatner white painted mask in Halloween Farcical. And they didn't do that for this movie. So John Chambers is the reason Planet of the Apes gets off the ground and stays there in my book. So he is my champ chimp.
That's great. My champ chimp is not John Chambers, but not because I don't agree with everything you just said. It almost was the astronaut that died early in cryosleep. No, not that either.
Poor Stuart.
I was racking my brain on this because there's so many just wonderful things that happen in this movie. But I'm going to have to go with Lucius the ape.
Oh.
And it's because of this interaction, Bill. And I've got a little snippet of the script here. Lucius says, "Why did you do that? Scrape off your hair." And then Taylor says, "In my world, when I left it, only kids your age wore beards." And then Lucius says, "You can't trust the older generation." Lucius, you are my champ chimp.
Lucius is great. He's just great.
Ah, so good. But you know what else is great, Bill? The things that we didn't think were as great in the film. In a segment you and I have deemed driving us bananas. I will say that one thing I did not like about this film, Bill, was seeing George Taylor inject himself at the beginning. I get that they're trying to like world build or tell us like this is how the science works in it. You know, I started reading Planet of the Apes.
Oh.
I have a printing of it that does not say anything about it now being a major motion picture, but does have pictures from the movie on it. And this book certainly is different than the film, but
it is.
In the way that the first couple of chapters the book starts, it is a lot of like, this is how we fly the spaceship, and this is what it's like living on a spaceship. And I feel like when Rod Serling and co were adapting this for the screen, they wanted to have that little bit of like, this is real. This isn't, they're just on a ship and they go to sleep and then it crashes. But I think the extra little bit of like, here, I'm going to inject myself while he smokes a cigar and gives his like final diary entry is too much. I love the diary entry. I love the cigar. I think it's hilarious. But you can just have him go to cryo sleep. Like, yeah, I get it. Bridge is gapped. You go into some sort of chamber and then, you know, you go shoot yourself 2,000 years or whatever. So the added thing of needles going into skin and Charlton Heston's like overacting of like, oh, moving my arm as I smoke this cigar is too much for me.
Yeah, hopefully that wasn't just another syringe of extra nicotine to get him through the rest of his stuff. It was, you're right. It's stuff we don't particularly need. I guess it was somebody thought, look cool. I don't like needles anyway. I do like the fact that when they go into cryo sleep, they get sealed inside an egg crate, because I didn't notice until this viewing, and I watched it with my wife and she's like, oh, look, he sits in an egg crate. I'm like, that's not a bed. It's actually a big old piece of foam cut out in the shape of them. And I thought, that's freaking genius. You can't roll out of that thing while you're asleep. That's going to cushion you during any problems.
And with the price of eggs these days, Bill.
Yeah. You know. I mean, I love this movie for just thinking it through. That was awesome. So, yeah, no injections.
Well, what's been driving you bananas?
So this is a point that's probably going to be a little strange, because the movie was praised for its music. Jerry Goldsmith was nominated for an Academy Award. He used all kinds of progressive new ways of making music and sounds, helmets and clanging things and ram's horns, and it was unearthly. But my problem is, it drives me a little crazy. It is so oppressive, especially at the start of the movie. Like, it doesn't lay off. Yeah. It's like the volume is at 11 the entire time. And as they're walking through the desert, it is scored like they are on a safari horror movie hunt. It's just, nothing's happening on screen. They're just walking. And instead of it being like lonely and maybe quiet, which I've said this before in movies, I think you can do a lot without doing more. So sometimes just the sound of the quiet is worse and creepy than what's going on. But this movie is just like clang, bang, bong. And I'm going, stop, movie. Just stop. Because that's a long sequence. And they could have really laid off that in a few spots. In my opinion, I think
maybe if you took that helmet off while conducting, you'd have a better idea. It wouldn't need to be as loud because it's muffled.
Yeah, and if he'd taken off the ape mask and lowered the volume, they could have heard that boulder coming a lot sooner, and it might not have crushed him. So
it's so true. It is so true. Bill, we're fixing this classic every moment we record this podcast.
Don't we always?
Yeah. Here's one thing. It just kind of drove me bananas, Bill, that the first 20 minutes, you've mentioned it, it's a little slow. You know, I don't think the pacing is necessarily off. It's just, like, we can keep the reveal that they're on a planet full of apes in the same spot in this movie, but more could have happened to like build the world in that early first part. It's great. We get to this set piece of the crash landing, which is like you're excited. And yeah, it's like 15 or 20 minutes of them being like, desolate planet, breathable atmosphere. When there's life, there's more life. Where there's one, there's many. And it's like, well, why don't we get a better idea of this planet we're living on? Maybe a little bit of dialogue here or there. Maybe we don't have to just go 10 minutes, have this weird boulder fall, and then go 10 minutes and have them skinny dip for 5 minutes. Like, yeah. Also, you're on a strange planet, and the first thing you want to do is go into a mysterious body of water. I don't think that's the smartest idea.
No. That's some classic not really thinking it through there. Just kind of like they stumble upon the little sprig of life, and their first instinct is, look, life, kill it, and they dig it up out of the ground.
Let's dig it up.
I wish it had been like a horrible land monster, and they would have just attacked, because, I'm with you, Rob. It's not that it's not great, but we could have used some different scenery if they're going to take that long. But I get it. They really couldn't due to the limitations. But you do get a long time to look and go, that looks like Arizona.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to get a trimmer coming up any moment here.
Yeah. Graboid.
Yeah. Graboid.
Graboid would have been great.
Well, Bill, what else do you have on this segment?
For a movie that's got so many scientists in it, a lot of ape scientists especially, and a lot of people versed in science, they're not very good at any of it. The ape scientists especially are not good at seeing the obvious thing. So they, of course, no, men, women, humans can't talk. So they got Taylor, and eventually he does. Like, he's doing things that clearly show he has intelligence. And I looked at my wife and I'm like, this would be like if our cat suddenly started to do math in front of us, took out the paper, wrote it down, adding it up, and we just looked at
Even I forgot how to do long division.
Yeah. And we just looked at each other and went, nah, can't be true. You saw it happen. That's the madhouse that I found in this movie. Give him the damn piece of paper, Zira, that he wants to write stuff down on. There's a million points where he's just, it's not hard to prove that you are a thinking creature, and you clearly don't come from at least the place that you are living in now. And they're just like, nah, we don't think so. We're just going to have to hit you with a stick.
Yeah. Why would you want to fly? Like, well, it's not even that I want to. It's that I know that it can happen. Yeah. Like they
know everything about, they're doing experimental brain surgery and keeping the thing alive, but they can't understand paper airplane go far. It's really weird. And to be fair, I'm going to call out the humans too, because the science behind this mission to me makes no sense. Like, why did they shoot them into space? They know everybody's going to die and be 2,000 years back on Earth, and apparently they're never going to get home.
Yeah, the mission seems to be a bit precarious.
Yeah, like Taylor's like they were just going out to see what's out there, but if they get there, who are they going to tell? And they went with 3 dudes and 1 girl to quote unquote make her the new Eve and make it, or were they going to make a new planet? And if you did, you got the ratio to men to women way wrong.
Yeah,
on this trip.
Make some science for like creating life, not creating life.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, the poor girl has to die immediately because, that's how that works. But yeah, I clearly, you just needed to get to the planet, and you probably would have done a little better if you'd maybe not made the science kind of a backseat to a lot of things. But
And we're not asking for like hard sci-fi here. We're asking for
no.
And I know how ridiculous this is about to sound, but maybe a realistic scenario in this movie, Planet of the Apes. And that's a little contrarian to what I've said about all of the first 3 movies we watched in this series. But that took a hard turn in the other direction that was just like, no. Like, there is a happy medium here. Mm-hmm. But I will say, Bill, that the silliness of these things is what also makes these movies more fun to watch.
Absolutely. It makes a great movie.
Yeah. Well, my dirty ape for this movie is, what is it? Honorius?
Honorius?
Yeah.
I think.
The bad lawyer ape. No one likes a lawyer in movie world. Nope. I love a lawyer when I need one. But in movie world, no one likes a lawyer. And, he's the worst lawyer.
God, they missed such a golden opportunity to have his name be Harry Mason. I just thought of that.
What is this, Howard the Duck?
I know. Yeah. It's he's a terrible lawyer. His whole argument is just like, I want to win.
Yeah, he's like, so you mean you can't tell me the things you've never learned because you weren't brought up in ape society?
I know.
Likely story.
It feels a lot like a management meeting at, large corporation.
Oh, God. Bill, it's not that anyone's wrong. It's a miscommunication.
That's right. We should have been smart enough to know that the thing I told you was fact wasn't fact at all. It's going to be great.
Well, who's your dirty ape?
So my dirty ape, and maybe this will be a little weird depending on who it is. It's Taylor.
Dun, dun, dun.
He's a jerk. And there's just no denying it. Heston starts out just being this antagonistic, needling. He rubs his crew the wrong way. He's sexist. He makes the remarks about women. He constantly is like kind of picking up Nova and throwing her down and throwing her to the wolves. And he's doing stuff like he doesn't care. No. And then in the next scene, they're kind of like, they're cuddled up. Like she loves him because she doesn't know any better, but he's just like, whatever it takes.
A new man.
He attacks instead of staying calm. Like he's trying to prove he's a civilized creature. He's not an animal, but he keeps doing animal things.
Yep.
He grabs at stuff. He yells, he screams. And I get it. It's going to be traumatizing him. But right at the very start, when they land and they make it off the sinking ship and they get to the shore and the other astronaut puts the little flag in the ground, he does this Joker laugh to the stars.
That is it's unhinged.
Why? It's like it's like an end of the movie moment where your main character finally succumbs and goes nuts, but he just skipped straight to it, and then he just kind of keeps up this level of mania through the whole thing, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it makes me not like our hero, and I never don't like that.
It almost feels like maybe he's not a hero at all.
Yeah, and I guess in a lot of ways he's not. He didn't set out to be a hero. He's a guy that went on a mission and he's an astronaut and he's thrown into this crazy situation. So I don't mind his survival ideas that I'm just going to live, but he's not a good person when it comes right down to a lot of things. And that's kind of tough to watch. So, Chuck, you were amazing in this movie. You did an amazing job making me remember it, but your character kind of needed to be taken down with a hose a couple of pecks.
It sets a tone when he does that Joker laugh. Very weird. Well, Bill, we've made it to just about the end of this movie. It's time to take care of some monkey business. I'm bringing out my monkey's paw. We're going to give our final thoughts. And then we're going to say if this is a packed house or a madhouse. One of those is good and one of those is bad. Listener, I'll let you decide which is which. Bill, I'll go first. So rewatching this movie after the past 3, I think I've said this about 8 times in this episode, just makes this one look and feel even better. It makes the original stand up high, get all the awards. It knows what it is. It's 90-ish minutes, and it's pure fun. Is it a movie that was made in 1968? Absolutely. It's a movie called Planet of the Apes, and it is silly and ridiculous and thought-provoking at times, but doesn't, drill it into you. It's not trying to be more than what it is. And although there is an allegory, it's not incredibly ham-fisted. When it is serious in its lines, like what you were talking about earlier when Charlton Heston and the other ape kiss, it's there and it's gone, and it says what it's saying while also being kind of fun to watch. And honestly, the reveal at the end is great. It's one of those things like The Sixth Sense at this time where everyone knows what it is. It's in the zeitgeist. It's not like you're going to be really surprised. This movie doesn't do that good of a job of hiding it anyway throughout, but I could totally see teenagers in the 60s going to this and having their minds absolutely blown, like, and that Statue of Liberty looks really good. That scene looks good. And I'm excited to see more. I want to watch more Planet of the Apes movies, whereas I didn't when we were watching those original. Like when we said, oh my God, it looks like there's going to be Kingdom for the Planet of the Apes. I was like, how? What the fuck are they going to do? I don't want to see that movie. I will, because we are dedicated to the cause. But this was great. And if it would have been 30 minutes more, I may not have said that. It's done well, and I liked it. So I'm going to say it's a packed house. How about you, Bill?
There are 3 points that I'm going to base my final thoughts on.
3 digits of the monkey's paw.
3 digits of the monkey's paw. 1, the fact that the studio was worried the audience would laugh at the apes. The studio did not want that, which is kind of amazing, and for a ridiculous concept, they wanted it taken seriously. The second is this film used so many makeup artists on it that most other films at the time couldn't get any for their own productions. That's how big a production this was. They had over 80 artists, and there just weren't 80 makeup artists back then. There weren't enough to go around, which shows you the commitment that they had for this movie. And 3, there's a quote as I watched one of the documentaries, Mort Abrams, one of the associate producers. He said that the director and the producer and everybody in the movies, they all knew, and he knew from back then. He said, you can't have a lot of sci-fi ideas without character development or it won't work. And that was amazing to see in a movie. This is the prime of movie making in Hollywood, where the idea of, you need to make this movie work. And what makes a movie work is the story and the actors, and you build around that. This film was supposed to be high tech. If you're reading the book, you'll know originally the Ape Planet is extremely high tech, gyrocopters, floating cars, all this other stuff. And they went, we can't show all this. You can't do this, 1, on a budget, and 2, you just, like you said, you can't give this many ideas at once, and just the audience will kind of gloss over and probably reject it. It's understanding the story and the characters makes a movie great. Spectacle comes from making what you have awesome. And that's what this movie does. It uses everything. It pulls out all the stops to make a blockbuster. And they did that. This movie was huge when it hit. They used techniques in set building that 2 years later, scientists from MIT were claiming that they had figured out how to use foam to make structures. Planet of the Apes did it before that. Yeah. They had the best of the best working on it. And they all went and looked at the movie and was like, and the story, and were like, even then they went, the story's not all that great, but there could be a great movie here. And they tore in Heston from the top down. They're like selling this movie. And it's great. It's great that this did it. And this is what shows you, everybody, that the bones are what counts in these movies. So yeah, this movie is absolutely a packed house, because it is the core of what you need to make a legend, which is make a great story. It doesn't have to be perfect. We've pointed out its flaws like we do with everything. But this is really a project that everybody was on board to make great. And if you do that, you don't have to cram in all this other stuff. Those first 3 movies we watched had so many images crammed into them. And I think it's a problem just for the sake of imagery in movies today. It's not a good reason to do it just because you can. Yeah. There needs to be a reason for it. And this movie had a reason for everything that it did, and it did it in its best way. And for 1968, it did it ahead of its time in a way that still holds up. I did not spend my time watching this movie going, that looks fake, that looks fake, that looks fake. It's just, I'm in that world. Yep. And it looked real to me. And I got to tell you, if I ever find myself on a Planet of the Apes, I hope that it resembles that one and not the one we saw in the prequels, because I think we could figure out how to make do with the one that we saw last night. It was a little more manageable, but yeah, definitely great movie, packed house, recommend it highly for sci-fi fans and just general moviegoers who like a fun time at the movie.
It's definitely a great one. Well, Bill, I would like to say thanks again for joining me on this journey into cryosleep and back to our home planet. I want to remind everyone that if you like this episode and you like this podcast, that means you are already behind our Patreon paywall. And if, like I said before, we've somehow busted this out from outside of the paywall, check out the Bill and Rob's Patreon. All the links you need are in the show notes. If we are behind the paywall still and you're just listening around, go make sure you're following us on social media. Those links are in there too. Hell, maybe we're selling some t-shirts. All of these things are very helpful, but just to know that you support our show by listening to this episode is incredible. And if you could send this link to your family group chat, to your friends at work, drop it in Slack, you know that more ears means more fun. And Bill and I can continue to do this thing. Bill, should we say thank you to some people?
We definitely need to thank Draxium and Dr. Z. We need to thank Mrs. Colombo. We need to thank Rob Adler.
Oh, yeah. Not me.
No, another Rob. I am rich with Rob. I am Planet of the Robs at this point in my life. I know so many, but of course, Rob Schulte at the top of my Rob list. He is Rob's, plural. He is so great, we pluraled him, as he will forever be known.
Oh, yes. You know, everyone else, if we missed you, it's not that we forgot about you. It's the apes we met along the way. Bill, I'll see you next time as we continue beneath the planet of the apes.
Yes, beneath we shall go together, Robs.
We're going to figure out where that doll came from.
That creepy doll. My worst nightmare.
All right, Bill. I'll see you next time.
Later, Robs.